Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Bryan Hour.
I'm Jason Harper.
This is Keep It Current, a real estate show for realtors. Excited to be here today. We are going to be talking about postcard headlines that work. And if that sounds interesting to you, then you're going to want to stick around because we have a lot to cover. You missed last week's show.
I know.
Because you were in Nashville.
That I was.
I missed last week's show because I was in Nashville.
Yeah.
We
missed the week before, too, for the same reason.
It's crazy, but we did have a great time in Nashville. If you guys have ever been to Nashville, you know that there are some areas of Nashville that are just really quiet and calm and beautiful and serene. And then there's other areas that are not like that at all, like Nash Vegas, right there on the Strip at the heart of it all. I mean, if you like live music, boy, there's no shortage of that. But it can also get pretty crazy. We got our fill of it, that is for sure. But it's great to be back home. It's great to be with you, Jason. Today we're going to talk about something that I think is very important. So if you're a real estate agent out there and you're creating campaigns for your postcards, and you are, excited about coming up with some different copy, and maybe you've got some lead magnets out there and you're driving people to websites or whatever, that's great. There's a lot of different places where you can use headlines and titles, things like that, to grab people's attention. But we're going to talk specifically today about postcards, because I do believe that the message, the headline, can be a little bit different. There's a little bit of a different message most of the times, or a lot of times, on social media ads and things like that. These are specifically postcards. So we are going to talk about postcards that we think are attention-grabbing headlines. They work amazing, and they're ones that we have used in our own business, or within our network of agents that we mastermind with have used these in their circles, and they've worked.
You do very well with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you say we just jump right into it?
Let's do it. We have a lot to cover. So
you got a lot to cover. So the first one I really like is this one. Free handyman service for Greer Ranch sellers. Now, obviously, you don't.
Are you a handyman?
I'm not a handyman, and I don't work in Greer Ranch. I don't live in Greer Ranch, but that's an area that we do a lot of marketing in our area. So that's very specific to that. That is the kind of headline that really would grab people's attention, because it does right out of the bat. It does what is so important, and that is it helps people, or it helps a potential seller to answer. The question is answered, or the pain point is taken care of just in that headline. Because a lot of people, Jason, right, they want to sell their home. They have a lot of things to do to get their house ready, and they just are kind of afraid to get started with the process because they have so much to do. They got to get this fixed. They got to get this painted. This has to be dialed in. So that's a great headline, right?
That's a great one, and it doesn't scream real estate right off the bat.
Exactly. Free handyman services for fill in the blank neighborhood. It could be whatever. Where's an area locally that you're marketing in right now, Jason?
Mapleton would be one of them. So same deal. Free handyman services for Mapleton sellers.
Yep, exactly. And so I think that one is a really good one for a lot of agents to give that a try. Because, we talked about this before when we were backstage, before we even started this. 80% of the prospects that are going to read a headline are going to stop there. They're just going to stop right at the headline. They might not even read the copy. So that is a good headline that makes people say, well, geez, this is, I am thinking about selling my house, and this is going to make it easier, because sellers want to make sure that they don't have to go through a lot of hassle in the selling process. So if your headline can address those pain points, then you're going to be way ahead of the game. I heard Dan Kennedy, or it might have been Joe Polish, those are two guys I really respect in direct response marketing, say that people would rather act to avoid pain than to act to gain something. So a lot of times people just avoiding pain is more important to them
Yep.
than even having an ad that says get this or get this.
Yeah. Get more for your house. Well, if it's a pain to do it, then it becomes a hassle, and there's no value in that.
Exactly.
That additional whatever is. So yeah, makes sense.
All right, let's talk about another one. Let's talk about number 2. By the way, these are not in any specific order. These are just ones, again, that we have used. They do work. What do you think about this one, Jason?
Well, I'd like to know the answer to it. I mean, this market is crazy. I don't even know what fair market value is anymore. So I know that would pull me in. I think it's a good conversation starter because I think most homeowners, as they sit on the sidelines and watch, are probably wondering that very question.
Exactly. I mean, they're already kind of they're looking at home values going up, skyrocketing all around them, and they kind of are feeling like, geez, what is it? What is fair market value? Like what is going on in my neighborhood? And so this headline kind of says that you understand what the market's doing. It definitely explains that you're most likely an expert in the neighborhood, and I mean, you're going to get that call, and you're going to be able to engage with somebody based on a headline like this because you know that they're possibly thinking about selling. Yeah,
and even if you specialize with buyers more than sellers, keeping track of offers you wrote or houses you wrote offers for and what they closed for is a way that you can monitor and keep data to understand, again, what fair market value is. So as you try to kind of transition into maybe more of the listing side, you can still speak from experience of, I represented or, attempted to represent this house, list price, sold price, list price, sold price, over and over and over. So know your data.
Know your data for sure. And also, make sure you're going to want to make sure that you back these up. So headlines are important. Most people don't read past them. But if you have really good headlines, then guess what happens? People want to consume more content.
Yeah.
So, less is more. You don't want too much on that postcard, but truly, it is a bit of a catch-22 because yes, most people do not read past the headline. So you got to make sure the headline's really good, and if the headline's really good, they're usually going to read past the headline. So you have to have good copy, and if you have stats to back up what the headline is, or a good secondary hook, then that's really, really important. These postcards have to have a hook. They have to have something that fixes the pain points, and has a hook, has something that causes people that's a little open-ended, so they continue to read and want to reach out to you. Let's move on to number 3. Remove the doubt, cash out. Why would a headline like this be pretty good in a market like we are right now in 2020?
Yeah, this one actually interests me, so I want to hear what you have to say on this one.
Well, again, people are seeing the market go crazy. They're wondering, they're literally running, is now the time? Should I wait a little bit? They have so many questions about, everyone wants to hit the peak of the market. If you're somebody that's thinking about selling, you don't want to be that person that's, listing your home as the market starts to go down. Right. Because what I've learned in the real estate in my years is that the market will creep up, it'll go up and up and up, it'll level out a little bit, and it'll keep going up. But once it starts to go down and homes are on the market longer and there's a lot more homes on the market and things, people realize right away that it is not a seller's market anymore. It's becoming more of a buyer's market, and it can change fast.
Oh yeah, they respond very quickly and very harshly.
Very harshly. So it's like this, right? Our market's very peaky, especially out in Southwest Riverside County. It might be like that where you are.
You don't want to be the last one on the dance floor, right?
That's right. And so they want to really, really make sure they hit that peak. And sometimes it's like, well, look, we're here. We're close enough. Just remove the doubt, cash out.
Which is why establishing with the seller, what is your exit price? What is that price you can't say no to?
Yeah, that's a very good point. In fact, I think that's one of the headlines that I believe didn't you have that in one of?
I kind of led into that one a little bit, but I think it applies here too.
Yeah, that's a great headline. Here, we'll circle back to it. Let's look at this fourth one. I love this one because this kind of makes people go, oh my gosh, is it really that easy right now? Sell your home over the phone. Now, how many people are really going to sell their home over the phone? I mean, it's really not. But the fact of the matter is there's so many alternative platforms now and so many investors. Like, for example, I have nine cash investors that regularly are reaching out to me. It's part of a program I'm in with my brokerage. I literally, there's a buy box that fits at least one of those nine. I can legitimately make a cash offer on behalf of those investors over the phone with someone. So if somebody's really curious about selling their home and you want to kind of pull people out of the woodworks to get people to respond so that you can at least identify who's raising their hands and a little bit interested in selling their home, sell your home over the phone is a great campaign. I don't want to sell your home over the phone. I want to sell it in the traditional market because I want to get you top dollar and it's just better all around.
Yeah.
But it gets the phone ringing.
And that's all you're really looking for.
Exactly. You're just trying to identify the people that are most likely to sell. So do you have anything to add on that one or should we move on?
No, I think it's a good one. I think it's, I don't know if people realize how many companies kind of take the over the phone approach, not to mention some of the iBuyers, but the first thing most of them do is they have an over the phone consultation where you're taking pictures and video of your house so they can eliminate the hassle of somebody coming out in I hate to use the word intrude, but take up space. So it's, in a sense, that's kind of what they're offering, right?
Yeah.
So no, I think it's again, it goes back to the first point you made, and you're alleviating pain.
Alleviating pain.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sell your home over the phone. Really? I can do that? Well, I don't even believe it, but I'm at least going to give it a call and see what,
Right.
When they respond, that's exactly. Yep. And by the way, when you do a campaign like that, you need a phone number, not a website. So because the kind of people that are going to respond to an ad like this are going to want to make it. They want to call. They don't want to go to a website and find out information on who to call.
Yeah.
A landing page is not where to send them on this. I guess you can have it as a fallback, but you want to provide a phone number. So let's go to number 5.
Also means you need to pick up your phone when it's a number you don't recognize.
Yeah, exactly. Over the phone means pick up the phone, right?
Right.
So if you don't like picking up your phone, this is not a good campaign for you.
Not the campaign for you. Correct.
Nope, exactly. Are you afraid to sell your home? Well, sell, stay, search. I want you to expand on this one, Jason. This one's, I think, is brilliant.
Yeah, well, this is kind of what we've been doing, right? It's, in this market, it's not uncommon to have 30, 60, sometimes 90 days at no cost with a rent back. And so, I think with this, the important piece is having a strategy. If you're going to pitch, we're going to sell your home. You're going to stay in it after closing while we search, because really you and I know we need to start that search around the time contingencies are removed. So you need to have a pretty solid plan that you can articulate and execute. But I can't tell you how many people I talk to right now that say they would love to sell their home, but what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? They're watching their friends spend 6 months and write 20 offers before something sticks. So I think if you can articulate a solid plan, and again, kind of going back to having a track record and some examples, but I mean, this is one where I think you can knock a lot of people off the fence, but you really need to make sure you have a solid plan in place so that you can execute, because if they sell and then they can't stay, it kind of counterproductive. But if you can knock it out of the park, I think there are so many people you can knock off the fence with this one.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we want these kind of live sessions with our friends and colleagues and fellow realtors. We want this to be real actionable type of content. So I think it's important to mention that, I mean, the the reality is, in most cases, people are just afraid.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want. They don't even want to go through the hassle of even thinking about selling, because they're looking on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. They're not seeing anything that they would want to move into for a price that they think is going to work, and or there's not enough inventory, even if they're a move down. This headline just says that you have options. You have a plan. It'll at least get your phone to ring, or it'll at least get somebody to visit your landing page, or whatever your funnel is with this message. It's not always going to work. That's the reality. I want people to understand we're not trying to trick anybody here. I mean, it's very difficult to list your home and sell it, and then agree to, that for that buyer to agree to have you stay in that house for, say, 60 days while you take your time searching.
Right.
And that's pretty risky. And in most cases, if we're really being actionable here and giving good advice, Jason, in most cases, it's going to be, look, we're going to go ahead and try, to get you a seller in possession or some type of rent back. But at the end of the day, it's going to be more important just for you to understand that we're going to structure this so that we're going to put your house on the market, and we're going to make sure that your home is contingent upon suitable replacement. Mm-hmm. And once we find a couple options that we know will work, then we can go ahead and write an offer. And you have to play it that way. So it's almost impossible to say, hey, sell your home, you can stay in it for free. Don't even start to look until that, because you definitely want them to be looking. One other thing, though, again, this just creates conversation, and a lot of people, what they need is they haven't talked to a professional with a good track record, right? They're talking amongst themselves. They're not in the business, and so there's a lot of fear around being homeless or whatever it might be. So a lot of it is just getting people to open up, and I'm sure you see it too. How many people solve their own problem of, hey, I know we talked about not wanting to move twice, but our friends actually said we could stay in their home, and it actually sounds fun to do for 2 months during summer, so we're going to go ahead and sell. But you kind of had to loosen things up a little bit to get them to even engage in that conversation with people they know, right? Exactly.
So again, this really just becomes a conversation piece. It might not be the direction you go or what you do, but again, you're going to knock some people off the fence.
Yep, for sure. All of this, if you think about it, all of these headlines, no matter what they are, it's to get people to raise their hand to respond. And then if you're good with the follow-up, then they're going to end up being clients.
Yeah, because one thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, because that's where the magic is. The magic is in the follow-up.
Yeah. And there's one thing that I found pretty much always holds true when people start talking about selling. It's generally not if, but a countdown to when.
That's right. That's a good point. Say that again in case anybody missed that. I love that.
It's generally not a matter of if, but a countdown to when.
It's a countdown to when. They might be 6 months out. They might be 6 weeks out. But if they respond to something like this, then it's just a matter of time. And you want to make sure you are the one. I want to talk about one that has worked really well for us. It's called the Yikes campaign. I learned this from Tom Ferry. I want to say at least 6-7 years ago. And we use it all the time. Anytime there's a market when anything is super crazy, you just have a campaign that just says yikes on it right at the top. It's like something like this, right? Yikes. And then the copy underneath is appropriate to what the message is for whatever's happening in the market. Right now, the message is, yikes, I just sold a home in your neighborhood. We had 25 offers. We could only take one. We need, I have buyers for your home, that kind of thing. So the Yikes campaign can be good for a variety of messages, but I really like that one. Have you used that one personally?
I never have, but I think it's great. I don't know why I haven't. I wrote down in my notes earlier that I need to run a campaign with it.
It works very, very well. And
it's a tried and true. So
it's tried and true, and it works all over the country. I mean, there's story after story after story, and there's a lot of great samples. If you even Google it, I mean, you can see a lot of good samples of it. Yep. The one that I used on this one, exact verbiage was, because remember, if you have enough, if the headline of something catches their attention, then they're going to read. It's pretty wordy. we're getting multiple offers on homes we're listing, but we can only choose one. Now we have buyers eagerly waiting for new South Temecula homes to hit the market so they can try again. And then basically after that, it's, curious about how much we can sell your South Temecula home for. And when people go to the benefit rich URL,
Right.
it takes them right to that website. Or because everyone knows how to use a QR code now, we're putting QR codes on everything, and it takes them right to their, where they can get the information. And this is all tied to our CRM and stuff like that. So, but when you have those tools in place where you have, a decent CRM, we're using KV Core, but when you have a good CRM and you have good headlines and you have good calls to action, and people are running into your site and you're getting them into your sales funnel, then it's really easy to track and measure which headlines work and which ones don't. That's why we're speaking with authority today. These are ones that we've used,
Yep.
And they do work. So we've used them, we've tested them, we've done A/B tests and things like that. So let's move on to another one so we can stay on track, right?
All right. What do we have? Sell now, buy later.
Buy later. Very similar to the other one. I wanted you to expound on this because did you run this one or did you see this one?
This is one that another agent out of state is wildly successful with that we are going to incorporate in our market.
Oh, that's right. This is the Nashville guy.
Yeah. And
okay.
He crushes it with that campaign, but it is essentially kind of what we just discussed. It opens conversation.
Yep.
Talk about solving an issue. The issue right now is I know I can sell fast, but then what?
Right.
The only thing I would add, there are some people where they have gotten creative, where they've locked arms with whether it's VRBO or Airbnb owners or corporate rental companies where they do have a concierge service where sell now, buy later, where they actually accommodate moving twice, since it's obviously a pain for the client.
Yeah.
They have a whole system for it. I don't know that he does, but I have heard of other people in other markets where that's just part of the whole thing. Is we know you're going to have to sell before you buy. We have this whole system set up. So no, this is one we're going to incorporate. I think it ties in pretty well with what, I think we just kind of covered.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy, his team, I think the average agent on his team is closing 24, 25 transactions a year. And I think they sell like between 600 to 700 homes.
That's amazing. We need to get that guy on this show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He does really well with that campaign, and it's all over the city.
Yep. So this next one definitely hits home because remember, sellers traditionally, they want to get as much money as possible, as quickly as possible, for the least amount of hassle possible, right? That's really what it is in every situation. I know it can vary a little bit and can stray from that a little bit depending on the micro markets and things, but at the heart of it, that is generally speaking what most sellers are wanting to accomplish.
Yep.
And so this next headline, as simple as it is, I think is really cool because it really makes it takes the hassle part of it and really scratches that itch, right?
It does. And the thing with this one is this could literally just be, if you are having great success with whether you're an individual or a team or on a team, if you have a process that's working well and you can show the numbers, your market time's low, your fallout ratio is low, you have something that's working. So put pen to paper, or put it on an iPad, put it in a presentation, and just go through your process. We talked about that in another video.
Yeah.
Explain your process as part of your listing. That's all this is. The easiest way to sell your home. Give a couple options. Discuss what the typical pain points are and what you've done to solve those. And this is our system. This is our track record. And it's easy for you.
Yeah, you just need a few bullet points underneath this that are, again, benefit rich, that kind of explain what your process is, unique selling propositions. This is just to catch their eye because that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping to they want to sell, but they just want it to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And they see the easiest way to sell your home. They're kind of like, hey, well, what is that? What is the easiest way to sell my home? Maybe there's a new way,
Yep.
So I love that one. I love it a lot. Okay, number 9. Get the intel before you sell. There are so many alternative platforms for selling homes now, and there's sellers they're not just calling their local agent anymore. They're being bombarded with companies like Open Door and Zillow and they're people that want to buy their home for cash at a discount so they can turn around and basically sell it in a standard or traditional market like we're doing.
Yeah.
And so you need to be able to, you need to have a message out there that is pretty clear. There's a lot of ways to sell a home, but don't just fall for that, because there's a lot of intel that you need to know before you even think about going with one of those.
If you think about the industry before companies like Zillow and, all these third-party sites that just have a bunch of info, this is what people had to do. They had to call an agent really to understand the process, get the intel. So in a sense, it's kind of old school, but it's really not, because there's now more than ever so many moving parts and so many options. This is one, though, that really gives, we talked about transparency in another podcast, and this is where it really gives us the opportunity to not come across as the typical salesperson, but to have a real conversation and to talk about, these are the options available to you, and just go through them and talk about the pros and the cons of each, give your honest opinion and assessment of, here's what I think based on what you're telling me that I think is going to best suit you.
Yeah. Very, very true. There is a gentleman that I saw I think it was the same gentleman we're talking about, that is using this campaign in the Nashville area.
Yeah.
So is it the same person?
Same guy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And these are the 2 messages he has everywhere. And I mean, his team just absolutely crushes it.
They work. I mean, they actually work. Now, this is not a postcard. This is a billboard. So
he does a good example too, though.
Oh, he does. Okay. Yeah.
He does mailings too.
And these these definitely cross over. I mean, you can use these on Facebook, but for the most part, these are just really good for postcards. So, all right, let's finish up with number 10.
All right.
Keep this one nice and short. That is number 10. Get the price you want for your home, because people are on the fence, right, Jason? They're like, I think I'm going to sell, but I just want to make sure I get my price, and they're waiting. So when they see get the price you want for your home, why not? How about I just call Jason real quick and say, hey,
right,
I'd like 800,000. I mean, everything in my neighborhood's selling for 750, but I want 8. That's the price I want.
So when I came up with this one, the idea was, right now with inventory being so low, you know how it is. We get a call on a Monday that we didn't know we were going to have on a Friday. So there's times where you get a little nervous when you look at your active inventory. So I kind of wanted to create a system that allows us to start talking with people, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months in advance.
Yeah.
Right. So we can, one, pull them away from whoever else they're talking to, but also figure out what is their price point. Right. And when we were backstage, I shared with you, I have a guy that'll probably be January, February at this point, that I just spoke with on this campaign, and he gave me his number. I know exactly what he wants, exactly what he needs. And as soon as the market is there, we've already gone through the whole present. I mean, he knows what we have to offer. He's happy with it, loves us. So it's just a matter of staying in touch, monitoring the market, and knowing what his number is. So, and one other thing I'd add, one challenge when we get in front of a seller is trying to figure out what they want for their darn house, right? Right. There's always that song and dance of, okay, so what's your number? Well, you tell me what you think you can get. It's like,
you tell me
your number.
Right.
Yeah, so then it's right there. It's like, hey, what price do you want for your home? So when they call and say, I want 800 grand, and you're like, cool, you're 3 to 4 months away. Let's talk in 90 days.
Yeah.
Now you just stay in touch. That was my idea behind this one. And
I think this one might be my favorite one for that reason. I mean, it really does just eliminate all that.
Yeah, we'll use it. Take it.
Yeah. Oh, I can steal this?
100%.
Fantastic. Okay, cool.
Send it to my house.
Which, by the way, I wanted to let everybody know that whether you are listening right now on a podcast, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube, or you're checking this on the replay on the live, just reach out to Jason and I if you want copies of these headlines, or if you want some of the follow-up or the sub copy of these. Let us know. We are happy to give them to you. If you want help with any of this stuff related to any of these things, please reach out to us. We offer free help, 100% free, no strings attached whatsoever. We just do this because we enjoy giving back, and we want to be there. So let's talk about a bonus, and then we're going to finish up the show with this one. And this one's going to make some agents laugh, but I'm just going to come right out and say that one of the most effective campaigns that you can do as an agent in your farm is just sold.
Absolutely.
And don't laugh. Do not. And I left this for last because if we would have led with this one, people would have been like, "Oh God, I'm done." This one works, and but it is important that you don't leave out some of the key elements that we talked about earlier in the show. Remember that a seller wants to know that they can, they're always asking, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? How can I get the most out of this? They want the most money, they want to sell fast, and they want the least amount of hassle. So you got to make sure that you articulate that in your just sold. So if you're constantly putting a just sold out there with a beautiful picture of a house that you sold, it can't just be sold. It can't even just be sold in 20 days for 2% above list price. That's not even enough message. You have to be able to articulate how you did it, why you're different, include some testimonial. We were joking about this before, but let's say it was my listing or prior to, and then now let's say it's now Jason's listing, right? And he sold it. Rather than just put just sold, include information like this property was listed with the previous agent for 90 days and it didn't sell. We listed it at the same price and sold it in 4 days. That's a great message, and there's room for that on the front, right?
Absolutely. Because
you would never do that to me, Jason, would you? You would never do that to me.
Why? No, I would never. Well, I would never have to, because
that's right.
In this market, if you had a listing on market for 90 days, we'd have to have a Backstage Talk.
That's exactly right. That's very true. But sometimes, sometimes you do have a particular type of listing that's very troublesome, and the seller just really wants as much as they can possibly get, and you took it on, and maybe it's you bit off a little more than you can chew, and sometimes you do get an aged listing.
You do.
In this market, if that happens and somebody comes up after you and sells it for the same price, then you really do need to look at your marketing, because that means they definitely outdid you on that. But this is a great reminder that campaigns like this definitely do work. Mm-hmm. They're simple. Of course, it's everyone does them in real estate, but if you do them effectively and you do them in your marketplace, then or I should say in your geo farm, then it could be very, very effective. So, any final thoughts, Jason?
No.
Nothing. Not a single final thought.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts always, but I think I can't think of what to add to this. Oh, actually, I lied. I can't.
I knew it.
The other piece I would add to the just sold, because I still feel like some people are going to be like, well, that's the oldest trick in the book. One, it is the most effective, but it also solves the proof of production or proof of success, which
social proof.
One question we all get is, what do you do different? And have you sold more homes than that guy I'm interviewing? So this kind of eliminates that conversation. So I think they should piggyback on the other campaigns. That way they see the yikes, or they see the what is your number, and then they see the sold. It's like, oh, somebody picked up the phone, somebody called him, and they keep doing it over and over and over.
Yep. Very cool. So again, if you guys want a list of everything we just talked about, if you have questions for us, reach out. If you're listening on YouTube, just reach out, ask us questions. We monitor everything. If you're listening on the podcast, all of our information is in the show notes. Please reach out. We look forward to doing this more. And with that, I think we're pretty much done. We will catch you on the next one.